welcome to this video and also my favourite month. How could you have guessed it's my favourite month? I mean, I dress like a fucking vampire, so I have to admit though, I do miss summer a lot because I do like the hot weather, but everybody's getting spooky. I mean, they have normal people decorations in the shops, you get to watch your favourite slasher films on television. I love, obviously, I love it. I mean, look at me. Do you know what else I love? What a wonderful segue. Do you know what else I love? I love fairy tales. Anyone who knows me in real life knows that I adore fairy tales. I want to live in one. My favourites are Alice in Wonderland and Peter Pan, but there's also some horrible origins to a lot of fairy tales. So, turn down the lights, get a hot chocolate, get a blanket, and try not to get too spooked out by these origins of these beloved Disney stories. One of the most iconic things about Cinderella that people remember is that her curfew was midnight, and when the clock struck 12, she ran up these stairs and she left this glass slipper. The prince thinks that no one could possibly have the same shoe size as her, so he uses this glass slipper to try and find her, which is honestly quite stupid, but we're not here to talk about the logic of dumb princes. But in the original Grimm's Brothers 19th century tale, something much more gruesome happens with this slipper. Now, of course, like in the original version, the stepsisters want to marry the prince, so they try and get the shoe on their feet. To get their feet to fit into this shoe, one of the sisters cuts off her own toes, and one of the sisters cuts off her own heel. What gives them away is the prince notices that there's blood gushing into the glass slipper, and he's like, well, y'all are fucked up. Oh yeah, and at the end, the stepsisters get their eyes pecked out by doves. Hope you all have a good night's sleep. What a wonderful children's bedtime story. The Little Mermaid is a personal favourite of mine. I used to have this obsession with mermaids, I used to want to be one, and The Little Mermaid is just, I love all the songs. Kiss the Girl constantly is in my head, and I don't know why, I must have died to that song or something. If you didn't know, in the Disney story, you know, The Little Mermaid saves Prince Eric from a shipwreck, and she ends up falling in love with him, but, you know, she has fins, so just like in the original story, this happens in the Disney version. She trades her voice for human legs, so she can go find Prince Eric and then fall in love with him and marry him or whatever. But in the original story, the penalty for failure here isn't just turning back into a mermaid, it's having a big old snog on the lips by death. Every single step she takes in the original story makes it feel like she's walking on swords. It is absolute agony for her to walk on human legs. But she soon dances for the prince and ends up becoming his favourite companion. But he doesn't fall in love with her, he marries somebody else. The prince believes that the girl that he ends up marrying instead of the Little Mermaid was the one who saved him from the shipwreck, and obviously it wasn't, it was the Little Mermaid who saved him, but he marries this other girl instead. Obviously the Little Mermaid is heartbroken, and she's also set to face her death penalty because she failed. Before she faces death though, her sisters cut off their hair and sell it to get her a dagger. What she's supposed to do with this dagger is she's supposed to stab the prince, kill him, and his dripping blood will turn her human legs back into fins so she can be alive as a mermaid. But she fails because she loves him, and obviously you don't want to kill somebody you love. I mean, maybe sometimes you do, but I think in the real sense you don't want to actually murder them. Because of all this stuff happening, you know, she's heartbroken, it's horrible agony for her to walk. She ends up jumping off the ship where the wedding was held and turns into sea foam. La 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 la, don't be scared, you got the moves prepared, come on and turn into sea foam. Before I talk about this next one, I just want to put a little trigger warning. There is mentions of rape in this one, so if you are sensitive to that, I wouldn't want anybody to panic or anything, so just a little warning, there is mentions of rape in this, so just wanted to put that out there. In the Disney version and in the original story, they both prick their fingers and fall asleep, obviously, because that's how she ends up being in the deep sleep, because she has this splinter in her finger that's keeping her asleep. Now a king wanders in and finds Sleeping Beauty. He tries to kiss her to awaken her, but it doesn't work, so he ends up taking advantage of her in her sleep. After he rapes her in her sleep, she becomes pregnant with 2 twins. She does actually end up giving birth to both of these twins. One of the twins starts sucking on her finger, which gets the splinter out, and she finally awakens. But she ends up falling in love with the king, and they get married. The king, to get married to Sleeping Beauty, He burns his wife alive so they can be together. That's, you know, you could just talk about it, but no, I'm gonna set her on fire. Oh no, but not before the wife tries to kill, cook and serve the children as a meal for the king to eat. Obviously he's having none of this, so he sets her on fire. I don't even know what to say. That was wild from start to finish. Now, Snow White is an interesting one because the original German fairy tale isn't actually that much different from the original Disney story. But obviously, because it's Disney and it's a cartoon for children, they took out these gruesome parts because, you know, complaints and children turning into psychopaths, that's not what they want. In the German fairy tale, the evil queen doesn't ask for Snow White's heart in a box, she asks for her liver and lungs to eat because yummy. I think that she probably took some props from Hannibal Lecter. Snow White is already dead by the time the prince finds her, but he falls in love with her anyway, because dead bodies are sexy. That was a joke. I'm not into necrophilia. I'm open to a lot of things, but not necrophilia. Hell no. Obviously. God, anyway, this has gone off on a tangent. He carts her coffin away, and eventually the poisoned apple that was stuck in her throat dislodges itself, and she awakens and comes back to life. As punishment for her evil deeds, the evil queen has to put on these hot iron shoes, which are placed on her feet with tongs, and then she has to dance in them until she drops dead. Dance till you're dead. Off with your head. So that's all the horrifying origins of some fairy tales. There is plenty more. If you just Google online, you can find plenty more. The Pinocchio one is mental. And if anybody would like a part 2 to this, I am more than willing to do it because it's Halloween. It's time to tell spooky stories, even if some of these were absolutely horrible. Anyway, I'm gonna go. I'm probably gonna spend time watching some Disney short films. They do awesome Halloween ones. That's my shit. I hope you enjoyed this video, and this is just a lesson that not all fairy tales have a happy ending, and some of the ones that you've loved as a child probably ended in death.